No issues. We are going to go ahead with where we had left and a quick recap about whatever we had seen in the last class as well. Okay. So, yeah, this is where we had stopped in the last class, if I'm not wrong. I'm going to explain you about this particular stage. उसके पहले हमने जो किया है, let's see about that also. So here we had seen that how the gastrulation is taking place. So सबसे पहले we have seen the endoderm is formed, followed by ectoderm, and then the mesoderm is going to be formed. So here we saw that this was the morula, right? The cells of the morula were getting pushed towards one of the sides, towards the periphery. Then in the area, this area, this was your cavity, which was called as blastocyst cavity. Then the lowermost layer, that is the hypophyseal layer of the inner mass of cells. These are the inner mass of cells, right? And this outer one were the trophoblast cells. So the inner mass of cells started to form a complete enclosure like this way, which is called as your endoderm. Then these were the epibasal layers, which were going to be making the ectoderm, right? And we saw that this is a cavity which is eventually called as the yolk sac. This was the cavity which is filled with amniotic fluid, and this is going to be the mesoderm which is going to be formed. So the entire description we have seen about how these structures are being formed. So we saw that how the space is going to be created over here. The trophoblast cells, that is the cells of the Rauber, and the epiblastic cells, or the ectodermal cells, how they are going to be formed. They become columnar. See, then this cavity will be filled with amniotic fluid, correct, or Leaker animal. Then then we saw the flattened cells arising from the endoderm spread inside. This is what we saw. And here in this cavity, there was a cavity over here. It is now filled with extra embryonal mesoderm. I told you what is extra embryonal mesoderm also. Then there were gaps that were going to be formed in between, and these gaps eventually, like see how the gaps are going to be formed in the extra embryonal mesoderm, right? And these extra embryonal mesoderm, what is your doubt? The hanging cells of ectoderm are called as hypoblast or the cubical ones. 1 minute. These ones of the endoderm, not the ectoderm. Hypo is endo, epi is ecto. Okay, so here the yellow ones which are seen as hanging are your hypo, and these blue ones which are going to be your epi. Epi means above, hypo means below. Yeah, endoderm, these hanging ones, these are the hypoblastic cells, correct? Yeah. Then we saw that these cavities in the extra embryonal mesoderm is going to be seen very clearly, and you can also see that there is something called as these trophoblastic cells which are forming multi-layered structure at one of the ends. You can see very well over here. Okay. Then the next thing that we are going to see is what? Like all these small cavities will join together. So small cavities appear in the extra embryonic mesoderm. Gradually they will join together. So all these spaces, all these areas will then join together to form a large space, and ultimately one large space is going to be formed. Now this cavity which is going to be formed over here. So there is one cavity over here, one cavity over here, and now one more cavity is developing over here. So this cavity, the lowermost cavity, the pink area which is going to merge together now, that particular part is going to be seen. It will be seen that the extra embryonic coelom, it will form the extra embryonic coelom. Okay. So this is how the gaps are going to be causing cavity के ऊपर cavity बनाने को start करेंगे. अभी इतनी cavities की क्या जरूरत है? What is the use of it? Is what we want to talk about. The development of the embryo along with the amniotic cavity and the yolk sac is now suspended in the extra embryonic coelom, which is attached to the wall of the blastocyst, that is the trophoblast, only by this unsplitted part of the extra embryonic mesoderm. This mesoderm eventually is going to make the connecting stalk. So this is how I was talking about now, that how the connecting stalk and the embryo development is going to take place. मैंने एक बार explain शायद किया भी था, लेकिन कुछ connectivity issues थे, so some of you all got, like I got disconnected and some of you all left. Anyway, so at this stage, the embryo proper is a circular disc composed of 2 layers of cells. The upper layer towards the amniotic cavity is the ectoderm and the cells which are columnar, while the lower end towards the yolk sac is the endoderm made up of cubicle cells. So here is going to be a ring. Okay, you can see a ring, blue and yellow color के ऐसे rings दिखाई देते हैं हमें, right? So even these cubicle endoderm and the columnar ectoderm. So this is the cubicle endoderm and this is the columnar ectoderm. The blue one is columnar, right? They are like columns, tall. So this blue colored structure is the ectoderm. This yellow colored structure is going to be the endoderm. They are in a circular fashion. एक मटके के जैसे दिख रहा है आपको? It actually looks like, a pot, right? It actually looks like a pot. So it's going to have 2 rings. The upper layer of the ring will be the ectoderm. The lower side of the ring will be the endoderm. Okay, so you can just imagine 2 rings sitting over each other, right? So till now mesoderm has not been formed. अभी तक mesoderm नहीं बना है. Now see what happens. At one circular area near the margin of the disc, means this is a ring area. In one of the points on that particular ring, the cubicle cells of the endoderm becomes columnar. So till now what we saw, the blue colored ectodermal cells were columnar. Now what they are saying, at one particular point, the cubicle cells will also become columnar. So these columnar cells over here, so this is going to be columnar, this is going to be cubicle. Now see, these cubicle may say some of the cells are becoming columnar, right? That area will be called as prochordal plate. The prochordal plate will decide one of the regions, that is the head region, and exactly abhi agar ye meri, you can see my hands like this way, right? So if these 4 fingers will make up the head region, prochordal plate, this end, piche wala, will make up the tail region. Okay, so in this way now, there's going to be an axis that is going to be created. Yes, there is going to be an axis that is going to be created from one end to other end. Now what happens in that axis is something that we have to understand. So what we saw the cavity formation, right? We saw the amniotic cavity formation. We saw the extra amniotic cavity or the extra coelomic cavity formation. And we also saw the yolk sac formation. Three sacs का formation हमने देख लिया है. But till now, we have not talked anywhere about the embryo formation. Have we started anything about the embryo formation? No. So now we're going to talk about the embryo formation. So from where will the embryo formation initiate? So it initiates from the endodermal cells, correct? Right? Which will make the prochordal plate. Okay? Understood? So then it is going to extend, see, in a particular fashion. This is the prochordal plate that will decide the head, where the head has to be formed. And the other end, opposite to the head region, will be the tail region, right? So the area is called as prochordal plate. The appearance of the prochordal plate determines the central axis of the embryo. We are bilateral. So exactly the central axis should be known on both the sides, and similar structure needs to be constructed, right? That is, it enables us to divide it into right and left halves, and also enables us to distinguish its head and the tail end, right? Soon after the formation of the prochordal plate, some of the ectodermal cells lying along the central axis near the tail of the disc begin to proliferate. Now, just now we saw that whatever was happening was with the endodermal cells. Now they are saying the ectodermal cells. See, soon after the formation of the prochordal plate, some of the ectodermal cells lying along the central axis. So now this is going to be the central axis. So along the central axis, these cells, you can see over here, they proliferate. Proliferate means increase in number. They divide continuously and form an elevation. You can see a knob-like structure, right? Which bulges into the amniotic cavity. So if you can see over here, in this amniotic cavity, there is going to be seen a bulge. There is going to be seen a swollen knob-like structure. Okay. This elevation is called as primitive streak. The primitive streak is at first round or oval. Primitive streak later becomes or forms the Henson's node. So it's going to be, you know, like a node, like a thing, or an extension sort of a thing, which was discovered by Henson, and therefore the name Henson's node. The cells that proliferate in the region of the primitive streak pass sideways. So now what is going to happen, you know, the ectoderm and the endoderm के बीच में ऐसे ये जो ectodermal cells है ना, they will now move towards the sides. They are going to move towards the sides. Okay. Between the ectoderm and the endoderm, these cells form the intra-embryonic mesoderm or secondary mesoderm, which is the third germ layer. So in this way, the embryo formation में जो mesoderm use होने वाला है ना बेटा, that is going to be purely this sandwiched one, the one which is sandwiched between ectoderm and endoderm. That is going to be the mesoderm, which is going to be helping in organ formations. So please don't get confused with the extra embryonic mesoderm and intra-embryonic mesoderm. In your books, there are no words like extra, intra given, and sometimes they are saying something, sometimes they are saying something, which will make you all completely confused. So I don't want anyone of you all to get confused with this particular area. Anyone having any difficulty till here? Anyone having any problem till here? Huh. Make up the mesoderm. Yes, but the primitive streak is going to be ultimately a result of whom? Ectoderm only, na? So indirectly, the ectodermal cells which gain the capacity to rapidly divide is going to make the primitive streak, which will make the mesoderm. Perfect. Okay? Got it? All of you? The process of gastrulation in embryo results in the formation of endoderm, initially called as hypoblast, ectoderm, initially called as epiblast, amniotic cavity, which is present between the cells of Rauber and the ectoderm, correct? Yolk sac, which was below the endoderm, sandwiched between the endoderm, that yellow color ka cavity that we saw, extra embryonic parietal and visceral mesoderm, the outer ones, extra embryonic mesoderm, and the connecting stalk. Okay, so we have seen all these structures being formed. Yeah, what's your doubt? The hanging cells of the endoderm will be called what? Initially, they are called as hypoblast. Then everything will be called as endoderm once the entire structure is completely formed. Okay, that entire will be your hypoblast, and then they will be called, वो जो माला के जैसे दिख रहा है ना, those are the endodermal cells only, right? Okay, yeah. Extra embryonic membranes are formed during this process. Now, see, still we are not looking at how the embryo development is taking place. We are just still talking about the आजू बाजू की कहानियां. तो हमने एक्टोडर्म बनते हुए देखा, एंडोडर्म बनते हुए देखा, मीजोडर्म बनते हुए देखा, एमनियोटिक कैविटी बनते हुए देखा, योक सैक बनते हुए देखा, एक्स्ट्रा एम्ब्रियोनल मीजोडर्म बनते हुए देखा, कनेक्टिंग स्टॉक बनते हुए देखा, है ना? बट हमने अभी तक एम्ब्रियो डेवलपमेंट देखा नहीं है, राइट? और अभी भी हम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं? extra embryonic membranes कैसे बनेंगे? So they are not going to be a part of embryo, they are going to be extra embryonic membranes. Okay. The extra embryonal mesoderm above the amniotic cavity forms the connecting stalk. Yes, my dear, along with the trophoblastic cells, along with the trophoblastic cells together collectively. Okay. Now see, extra embryonic membrane is derived from again two layers. Extra embryonal membrane is going to be of two layers. What is that? One is amnion, second is chorion. Please pay attention to amnion and chorion. Very important. Many a times questions have been, asked from this particular part specifically, right? So please understand that it is formed by the layer of amniogenic cells present around the amniotic cavity and extraembryonal mesoderm, means the trophoblastic cells. Amniogenic cells means what? Trophoblastic cells. So few trophoblastic cells and extraembryonal mesoderm together will form this layer called as amnion. Okay. Extraembryonic mesoderm surrounds the amnion. So you know where is the amnion, and it's going to surround the amnion completely. The connecting stalk is also attached to it. So the amnion and the connecting stalk are attached to each other. With gradual increase in the size, the amnion covers the embryo from all the sides. So this amnion membrane is going to eventually cover the entire developing embryo from all the sides. After about 8 weeks of fertilization, amnion is completely incorporated into the connecting stalk. Incorporated means now the connecting stalk will also include the amnion membrane, okay, which finally forms the umbilical cord. So this amnion is going to extend to form the umbilical cord. No need, beta. You will be getting all these things. No need of writing. Just try to understand this conceptually. Okay. Embryo in this stage is called as fetus, which remains hanging in the amniotic fluid. So this amnion is outside the embryo. It is not a part of the embryo. It is going to surround the embryo from all the sides. Plus, it is going to extend along with the mesoderm to form the connecting stalk के अंदर घुस के it will ultimately form the umbilical cord. So it's going to act like a passage for the transport of nutrients between the mother and the fetus. Got this? So here in this diagram, you can very well see very beautifully this diagram has been given. Yeah. So here you can see extra embryonic coelom. Okay. Then this is going to be the yolk sac. You know, this blue part ye wala is going to be the ectoderm. This niche wala is going to be the endoderm, right? And now you can see that this is the connecting stalk. Can you see? And can you see who is making up the connecting stalk? Just see this particular point of attachment. Huh? So if you can see connecting link के ऊपर एक ऐसा ring बनाया है, that black color का ring बनाया है, and they are saying this entire thing is going to be the connecting stalk through which now the amnion is going to pass. Can you see this amnion is passing over here? It will ultimately make up the umbilical cord. Right? Now, what is this chorion? What is this amnion? ये बता रही हूँ. तो फिलहाल I am talking about this black color का structure which is making up the surroundings. ये देखो, this is the amnion. All of you all understood where is the amnion? Huh? Any difficulty in understanding these things, beta? This amnion is called as the umbilical cord. Yes, beta. You are right, my dear. The extension of this amnion is only going to be called as the umbilical cord eventually. Correct. Perfect. Okay. Shall we go ahead with something more? Before I go ahead, just look at this, my dears. Can you see this amnion ka covering, which is coming over here? ये देखो, ये है पूरा एम्ब्रियन का कवरिंग ही है ये, दिखाई दिया? हाँ या ना? हाँ, आउटर लेयर इधर भी है, and it's going over here also, sideways. Purple part, yes, yes, yes. Amnion is this entire one. Okay. Hmm. Now see the next very important point. That is chorion. So what is a chorion? Amnion and chorion are both important points here. Chorion. It is formed by the extraembryonal parietal layer of mesoderm and the cells of trophoblast. Parietal means bahar ki taraf. Okay. Visceral means andar ki taraf. Parietal, periphery. Visceral, inwards, inside. So chorion is formed by the extraembryonic parietal layer of the mesoderm, means not our embryonic mesoderm, extraembryonic mesoderm, and the cells of trophoblast. After implantation of blastocyst, the trophoblast gives several finger-like projections called as chorionic villi, which get embedded into the uterine endometrium. So see, this chorion is going to be, see, the trophoblast is going to make up finger-like processes, and these are going to be called as chorionic villi. And how they will move, you can see my fingers very clearly now, right? So you know, like initially they are small, then they will move ahead, they'll move ahead, and you can see these finger-like things. Now they're going to get the grip of the endometrium ka wall, okay, to get lodged deeper and deeper and deeper inside it and get them embedded. Correct? Got it? So this is done with the help of these finger-like processes, which is nothing but the trophoblastic cells. Okay. Mesoderm also contributes in the formation of this villi. After a period of 4 weeks, these villi disappear from all parts of the connecting stalk, whereas they only remain in the connecting stalk area, where they grow rapidly and participate in the formation of placenta. So amnion is going to help in the formation of umbilical cord. Chorion is going to be helping in formation of the placenta. So if you look at the earlier figure over here, you can very well see these finger-like projections. Can you see this finger-like projections? ये सारे brown वाले दिखाई दे रहे हैं आपको? हाँ? These all are your chorionic villi. After 4 weeks, all these chorionic villi के processes disappear हो जाएंगे, except they will be present in this area. That is going to be in which area? In the connecting link area. तो जहां कनेक्टिंग लिंक है ना, अपना कनेक्टिंग स्टॉक है ना, कनेक्टिंग स्टॉक के इधर के सिर्फ विलाई प्रेजेंट रहेंगे, बाकी के ये सारा पेरिफेरी है ना, इट विल बिकम स्मूथ. Understood how it is happening? So all these are going to become smooth eventually, completely smooth. And only here in this zone, wherever there is connecting stalk present, only in this area there will be the presence of the chorionic villi. Is it okay for this? Yeah. Any difficulty with chorion formation? Understood what is chorion? पक्का? कोई problem नहीं समझने में? Okay. The third is yolk sac. So what is this yolk sac? Yolk sac is formed by the cells of the extraembryonal visceral mesoderm and the endoderm. We know that already, that yellow color ka part. Initially, the size of the yolk sac is large as compared to that of the embryo. Here you can see in these diagrams, you can see the yolk sac very clearly. This is the yolk sac, this yellow part. Correct, na? Right? So initially the size is very large. See, that is what they are saying. This yellow color ka part, it is very large. Yeah. So initially the size of the yolk sac is larger as compared to that of the embryo. About 8 weeks after fertilization, the yolk is reduced in size and changes into a tube-like structure. So that sac will get converted into a tube. So imagine how drastically small it will go on becoming. And therefore, like we are, our offspring or our fetus are dependent on the placenta for nourishment. and not on the yolk sac. The birds and all now, they have got a large yolk. So the development of the embryo will depend on the nourishment from this yolk only. But in case of human beings, our yolk will get condensed to form a tube-like structure. So the fetus cannot derive any nourishment from the yolk sac. Okay, so it has to depend on the placenta for nourishment. Now, just now you saw chorion is helping in the formation of placenta. Correct? Agreed? Okay. Now see, about 8 weeks after fertilization, the yolk is reduced in size and changes into a tubular structure. Ultimately, a placenta is developed with the incorporation of yolk sac and mesodermal connecting stalk with the amnion and chorion. So the placenta will have everything. It will have a part of yolk sac, that tube-like structure, and mesodermal connecting stalk, correct, along with amnion का link as well as chorion का link. Chorion तो finger like है, amnion तो उसके अंदर आ ही रहा था, correct, connecting link में. This is how the connecting link is ultimately going to be formed. So in this diagram you can very well see this is the chorion, pink color one. This is the amnion, blue color one. Okay, this one is the cavity, of course. And this pink over here, this ring-like structure or the C-shaped structure that you can see the C-shaped structure. The C-shaped structure is going to be your amnion. Look at this. This is the yolk sac, and this yolk sac has become tubular now. It started to become tubular, right? And here you can see a green color structure which is called as allantois. So let us understand what is this allantois first. Allantois, it is a solid and cylindrical mass formed by embryonic mesoderm. Most important, that allantois is going to be formed of embryonic mesoderm. So now we are actually talking something about the embryo, correct? So this is going to be the green structure allantois is a result of the embryonic mesoderm. A small cavity lined by endodermal cells develops in it. So in this cavity, this green structure that you can see now is going to be lined by whom? The endodermal cells. The mesoderm of allantois forms many blood vessels in this region. So here there are going to be blood vessels. That is why when we cut the umbilical cord, there is going to be oozing of blood. Okay, so where will the blood come from? So the blood comes from these allantois. Okay, so the allantois is going to contain the blood vessels. These vessels connect the embryo with the placenta and ensures nutritional and respiratory supply to the embryo. Embryo cannot breathe. How can it breathe? It is floating in this amniotic fluid. Okay, so there is nothing called as respiration being available. So who will provide with oxygen? So it's the allantois which is going to provide nourishment as well as oxygen to the developing fetus via the blood vessels. So the allantois is, don't you think allantois is a very important feature in the human embryo, which is having blood supply, which is ensuring the transport of minerals, nutrients, and is also helping in the exchange of gases. So allantois is going to be a very important structure, correct? In human, allantois does not function to store excretory waste as it does in reptiles and birds. So reptiles and birds also develop allantois, but they store excretory waste. In case of humans, allantois is not going to keep any waste. It is going to transport it to the mother's blood, and the mother's blood is naturally undergoing the normal process of purification of blood and blood circulation, and kidneys of the mother are functional and everything. So no waste will be stored in the allantois of humans, but birds and reptiles का जो allantois है, in that excretory substances would be stored. right? Now you can very well see that this is like, you know, growing in size. Can you see? Right? Now look over here, the chorion. This is the amniotic cavity. This is going to be the green color ka structure which I showed, which is the allantois. This is now the formation of the digestive tract. Can you see how the digestive tract has developed of the fetus now? Right? Look at this, yolk sac has become all the more thinner and longer. And look at this cavity beta. ये white color का area देखो अभी छोटा हो गया ना. इधर white color का area कितना बड़ा था देखो. Extra embryonal coelom. That was this white color ka area. It has become smaller. And don't you think the amniotic cavity has become bigger, larger, in which now even this structure has become larger, which is nothing but this is the developing fetus now. This is the developing fetus. And all together matlab amnion, allantois, yolk sac, and a part of your chorion also over here. Everything will be called as the umbilical cord. So now you understood that what exactly is the umbilical cord. Huh? And here you can see this dense layer, pink color. ये जो pink color का dense layer आपको दिखाई दे रहा है बेटा, correct? This entire part over here, just opposite to this structure, it is going to be the placenta. So this is the placenta. Now, can you tell me placenta is partially made up of the embryonal tissue, that is the chorion, and partially it will be made up of the endometrium tissue of the mother na. So placenta is going to be what? It's a tissue made up of mother's endometrium and fetus chorion. Okay, so placenta is a common connection between maternal tissue and the fetal tissue. Did you all understand how these developments are taking place? Anyone who has any difficulty with this? Anyone who has not followed any part of this, please do let me know, my dears. बोलो एक बार देखो, बताओ मुझे कोई पार्ट नहीं समझा हो तो. Chorion is this finger-like things you can see now. This entire pink layer over here, this entire pink layer over here, including this part, this entire peripheral part, all together will be called as the chorion. Entire. So see here, it's formed by the extra embryonic parietal layer of the mesoderm. So the extra embryonic mesoderm ka parietal layer means outside layer. That is going to be, involved over here. I'll tell you over here. See. So this is going to be the visceral layer, and this is going to be the parietal layer. So this outside pink color layer, na outside towards the blue cells, is going to be the parietal, and this pink color layer towards the white part is going to be the visceral. Means placenta will become a part of chorion. Yeah. Correct. Okay. Nothing. It's initially going to be present, but it is not that helpful. It is going to get reduced eventually. Okay. For time being, it is going to be there. Otherwise, it's going to get reduced. Right? Yeah. So here. So this is going to be your chorionic villi. So this entire purple one here is going to be your amnion. This brown one, which is towards the periphery, right, is going to be your chorion. So chorion and amnion are going to be in very close contact with each other. Okay. Allantois understood, but allantois is very important. Huh? It's going to have the blood vessels. Very important is allantois. Yeah. Okay. Now this is the entire process collectively together made to, make the thing simple for you all. This is the day of fertilization. Second polar body. pronuclei, they fuse together, cleavage will initiate, there's going to be compaction, all the cells will come together, there's differentiation, inner mass of cells are dark brown, outer trophoblastic cells are light beige in color. Here you can see that the cells are, inner mass of cells are going towards one of the poles and the trophoblastic cells are becoming, compressed. Then here, till here, there was the zona pellucida present. Now you can see the zona pellucida is getting detached. It is called as zona hatching, means it hatches out, something like that way. So now the zona pellucida is going to go away on 6th day after fertilization, right? Now see, this is the uterine epithelium, right? The endometrium ka epithelium hai ye, which is going to attract the inner mass of cells through which the embedding will take place. अंदर घुस जाएगा ना ये अपना blastocyst, so it's going to be shown like as if it's getting pulled towards itself. Ultimately what has happened, देखो जो बाहर की तरफ था अब अंदर की तरफ चला गया ये वाला. So now the epithelial cells which were inside have now engulfed this entire blastocyst. Correct? Now here you can see epiblast, hypoblast. Here, right? These are going to be your hypoblast. This is going to be your epiblast. Ultimately, what will happen? Epiblast will make the ectoderm and hypoblast will make the mesoderm, endoderm, right? So these two together will be called as bilaminar disc formation. Okay. Then what is happening? See, mesoderm formation. So here you can see the ectoderm is forming this pyramidal streak. So the axis is known now. And then here the pyramidal streak will proliferate. It will increase in, the cells will increase in number and they will be pushed sideways. See here the diagram is showing how they are pushed towards the sideways to form the mesoderm, which is the embryonal mesoderm. Correct? Then they are showing this, that now these layers have been started to be forming. So here you can see, I told you, rest of the area का chorionic villi disappear हो जाता है, बस एक area का रह जाता है, which is going to be towards the connecting link. Correct? So here you can see now this is the same amniotic cavity. This is the amniotic sac. Correct? What is this? This is going to be your extraembryonal or exocoelom as we call it. Correct? The yolk sac is large initially, right? You can see the chorion formation. Mesoderm is also going to be present over here. This is the extraembryonal mesoderm. See now how it has happened. Now this amniotic region has become larger and the yolk sac is becoming smaller. And here you can see the development of the allantois in this area with chorion, anion, amnion, allantois, yolk sac, all form to form your connecting link. And look at this. These are going to be your chorionic villi, which are still going to be, helping in adherence and attachment to the wall of the uterus inside, right? And here you can see this is going to be the umbilical cord ultimately passing over here. So whatever we have explained till now of the embryo has been, put up over here, that how the embryo development is taking. Anyone having any difficulty with this? Now all of you all have understood this very clearly. Huh? Now no confusion what is happening, how it is happening. Along with the days, I have mentioned everything. On what day, what is going to happen, everything has been mentioned. So see, day 18, mesoderm is spreading. Day 23, amniotic sac enlargement is going to take place. Correct? Then we come to the formation of the placenta, as I have just now told you all. That is, the eggs of viviparous animals are unable to develop into their embryos outside the uterus independently. This is because of very little or negligible amount of yolk present in these eggs, which cannot fulfill the nutritional and other physiological demands of a developing embryo. Here, the embryo depends upon maternal tissue for shelter, nourishment, respiration, etc. Right? Now, what's your doubt? No, 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 not necessary. Not necessary. Structure. How is the structure? Placenta is not a simple membrane. It's made up of the tissues from two different sources, maternal and fetal or embryonic. These include uterine epithelium, connective tissue, and blood capillaries of the mother. Okay? And embryonic these include extra-embryonic membranes, mainly chorion, which we already know. Chorion helps in the placenta formation. Yolk sac and allantois may also take part in placenta formation. Embryonic connective tissue and blood capillaries are also constituents of placenta. Okay, now understood what exactly is placenta? Viviparous means those who give birth directly to their young ones. They are called as viviparous. Those who lay eggs would be called as oviparous. We all are viviparous, direct birth to our offspring. Okay? Yeah. Now, what is this chorioallantoic placenta in mammals? Okay. In this type, there are different types of placentas, but we are talking about humans. So we are talking in general about the mammals. So there are much more different types of placentas which you need not remember. Okay. Ovoviviparous. Ovoviviparous means they are going to, fertilize the egg internally only. And then the egg which will be laid will be containing the fetus inside it. And the egg will break open for the young one to come out, just like your bird's egg. Okay. And there are some, like frogs and fish who lay the eggs and sperms in the water only. So the fertilization will be external fertilization, giving rise to pure oviparity. Okay. So oviparity, viviparity, and ovoviviparity are three different types. But basically, OVV में the fertilization is internal and the egg laid will already contain the fetal development. उसमें already चालू हो चुका है. Okay? Egg lay होने के बाद fertilize नहीं होगा. Fertilized egg lay करेगा वो. Well, so we are just bothered about the chorioallantoic placenta in mammals because we're talking about human reproduction, right? In this type of placenta, allantoic mesoderm and the mesoderm of the umbilical cord jointly form the blood vessels of the umbilical cord. So you know that allantois is going to have mesoderm. So the allantois ka mesoderm and the mesoderm of the umbilical cord, they make up the placenta, come into a part of the placenta. The endodermal part of the allantois remains as a very small cavity. So this allantois is also going to have ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Allantois is also going to be having all the three membranes in it. But they are saying the endoderm remains as a small cavity. Fine. To obtain nutrition from the maternal blood, several finger-like processes or villi are formed by the chorion, which are called as what? Chorionic villi, which penetrate deep into the crypts of the uterus. Crypts का मतलब होता है spaces, minor cracks. So they'll actually pierce the tissue. They'll actually, like how you, put a fork, how you use a fork for cutting something. Now, like that way, they will actually pierce inside the this apna uterus ka tissue. Yeah, it'll go. And that is how they'll keep on moving to absorb more and more nourishment. So this is the function of what? Chorionic villi. Okay, not at all, not at all. The mother does not even feel anything about it. It's like nothing. It's all internal taking place. It's not going to be painful for the mother. Initially, the villi are secreted over the whole surface of the chorion, but later they become restricted in the deciduous bacillus region. Deciduous bacillus means the region which is going to be connected with the placenta, right? Correct? That is called as deciduous bacillus. The chorionic villi on the remaining surface disappear shortly. The part of chorion which helps in placenta formation is called as chorionic frondosome. So here you can see, this is the decidua bacillus or basilis as we call it. This is the decidua capsularis. Capsularis means the head. Bacillus means the base. This is the uterine lumen. You can see this chondrion frondosome, which is going to help in the placenta formation in this area. What is this chondrosa? Nothing. Chorionic villi. Okay. So this is the chorion and the villi which are present in this zone. And ultimately what will happen? See, this is the deciduous bacillus. Chorion. You can see the chorion very clearly. This is the decidua capillaris. Here you can see the bilaminar layer, that is the ectoderm and the endoderm being formed over here. Can you see this? Right? And this is the uterine lumen. So in this way, the growth is going to take place entirely for complete 9 months of the fetus. Got it? 1 minute, beta. Okay. So here in the same thing, here also they are showing the same thing. See, 8 days embryo, you can see over here how it is like amnion, ectoderm, endoderm wala area we saw just now. See, the connecting stalk being formed. The connecting stalk is increasing. Then look over here, this is the fetal development that is taking place with the yolk sac becoming tubular and allantois being formed over here, right? Yeah, you can see the allantois being formed over here. And in this diagram, you can see the complete fetus is almost developed with this connecting stalk containing your allantois, amnion, chorion, yolk sac, everything held inside the same cord called as the umbilical cord. So very clearly you can see this now. See this, and this is decidua bacillus, which has, it's the chorionic villi only basically. See now, here you can see now. This is the chorionic villi. No. I am not going to. This is done. I'm sorry, my dear. This is done. Not again. Obviously not. Okay. Pay very good attention now only. Yeah. So this is the way that decidua bacillus is going to be increasing, which is ultimately going to make up the part of placenta. Right? And here you can see this is the chorion, this is the amnion, this is your capsularis, the opposite area, and this is the amnion cover of the umbilical cord. So you can see this amnion started from here. See, you can see over here also the amnion has started from here, and this amnion is only going to grow and form this layer outside. So it's going to be a part of the fetus also. It's going to be a part of this amniotic sac also. Got this? Understood this? Entire development, have you all understood, my dears? Any difficulty in understanding this? There was someone who was asking in 12th standard again, I'll teach you all this. I said, no, 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 not at all. Okay, it's not 11th standard or 12th standard. It's a collective bio to go ahead with connecting chapters. So as I had told you all that cell cycle, cell division is going to be connected directly with human reproduction chapter. I have started this chapter. It's not like I'll complete 11th first, then I will go ahead with 12th. No, we want to get interlinked to each and every chapter and understand the concept. Okay. How does the embryo take the shape? Yes, my dear, of the limbs instead of growing into a huge cell mass. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead with that. Okay. Yes. Residua during delivery? Nothing. It is going to be, like scraped off. It needs to be scraped off after the delivery. If it remains, then it is going to be highly nutritive now. So it's going to give invitation to all the different types of pathogens to cause infections. So it needs to be immediately scraped off. So it will be scraped off. Okay. Right. So this is how the entire process of the gynecologist will actually, remove as much of this residues and everything, including the placenta. No more placenta shall be kept after the parturition has been completed. Okay. Well, can we go ahead? Have all of you all understood till here? Is there anyone who has got any doubts? Done? Sure. Fine. Now let us see what is gestational period. Okay. After copulation, oxytocin hormone is secreted from the pituitary gland of the female. Okay. This hormone promotes the peristalsis in the fallopian tube. So as soon as the semen is going to be inserted into the vagina of the female, the oxytocin from the pituitary gland of the female will cause rapid peristaltic movement of the fallopian tube. What do you mean by peristalsis? You know, right? Rapid contractions and relaxations of the fallopian tube. The time from fertilization to parturition is termed as gestational period. So the time after the insemination, that is fertilization, up to the child delivery, birth of the child. Birth of the child is called as parturition. Okay. This time period will be called as gestation period. In humans, actual gestation period is 9 months plus minus 7 days. Okay. In human, EDD, that is expected date of delivery, is calculated in the following way. Beta, understand this. EDD कैसे calculate करना होता है? It's very simple, but see, first day of last menstrual cycle plus 9 months plus 7 days. So suppose if a female had her menstrual cycle on 1st of July, on 1st of July, correct? She will wait till 1st of August for, experiencing her next round of menstrual cycle. Then it will get delayed, maybe by a week or a two. If she is pregnant, it's going to get delayed. So she'll wait for 8-10 days, maybe even 15 days she might wait, right? And after that, she will go for a, clinical diagnosis if HCG is there in her blood or not, right? We already have done what is HCG. Can anyone tell me the full form of HCG hormone? Does anyone remember what is the full form of HCG hormone? Come on, 2 lectures पहले ही मैंने लिया था HCG. I have done it. Try to recollect. In the next class you will tell me. Okay. Yes, something. Vedant, you're right, beta. You're quite close to it. Try to find it and do let me know. Yes. Yes, Bhumi, you're right with your answer. Anyways, so she'll wait for 8-15 days. Now, when to calculate her EDD? So we have to calculate the EDD as 1st of July plus. So that is the first day of the last menstrual cycle. Huh? So 1st July plus 9 months plus 7 days would be her expected date of delivery. Understood how to calculate? Okay. Now, definitely we know that on the first day of the menstrual cycle, surely she was, she's not ought to, get pregnant, because ovulation only will be done after 15 days. On the 14th day, the ovulation will take place. But still, the calculation of EDD is done in this way. First day of the previous menstrual cycle plus 9 months plus 7 days. Okay, got it? That is how the EDD is calculated. Okay. Then the next is something which is going to be called as the summary of the development. So see, day 1, fertilization. The diameter of the fertilization is about 0.15 mm. No need of remembering the diameters. It's just for the sake of giving an information. Day 2, 2-cell stage. Day 3, 16-cell morula. Day 4, entry of blastocyst into the lumen of the uterus. That is going to be what? Implantation. Disappearance of zona pellucida. Diameter of blastocyst is about 0.3 mm. 7 to 8 days. Partial entry of blastocyst inside the endometrium of the uterus, which is actual true implantation. Day 12, complete entry of the blastocyst into the endoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm, amnion and yolk sac formation takes place. Day 14, primitive streak formation. Day 18, formation of 3 to 5 pairs of primitive mesoderm. Means that embryonal mesoderm. Okay, 3 to 5 pairs. They're going to move. Day 19, neural groove, neural plate, notochord plate, 6 to 8 pairs of primitive mesoderm form. So see how the progression is taking place, right? Then day 24, indication of the formation of head and tail region. Okay, 21 to 23 pairs of primitive mesoderm form. So those mesoderm which was coming out, squeezing out of the primitive streak, now it has become 21 to 23 pairs thick. Formation of heart continues at the ventral side. 28 days, heartbeats can be felt, heart starts beating. Neural tube form, 3 pairs of visceral arc, 30 to 31 pairs of primitive mesoderm form. Okay. Day 32, 30 to 39 pairs of primitive mesoderm form. So look at the thickness of the mesoderm, embryonal mesoderm, how it is becoming thicker and thicker. 7 weeks, jaws, fingers, external ears begin to appear. The CR length, CR is crown rump. What is crown rump? Head to the bottom of the hips is called as the crown rump area. Is going to be around 90 to 20 mm. After 8 weeks, that is around 2 months, the embryo is completely surrounded by the amnion. Fingers, toes become clearly visible. Almost all organs are formed with continuing development. And at the end of the 8th week, the embryo appears like a little human, a small miniature human, which can now be called as the fetus. The crown rump length would be around 28 to 30 mm. After 5 months of the pregnancy, blood formation starts in the bone marrow of the fetus. Decidua capillaris and parietalis connect together. Hair formation takes place on the body of the baby. 9 months, placenta attains maximum size. Nails on fingers appear. In the next 10 days, the fetus is ready to be born as a little baby. The above mentioned timings are, of course, approximately time periods. Sometimes, due to some reason, certain babies are born before the stipulated time. The babies born in the 7th month may also survive as normal babies. Okay, so these are just, like the events that are very important in the development of the fetus have been mentioned. Is it okay? Huh. Women won't know she is pregnant until 2 weeks. Yes, my dears. Yes, so total, almost the baby is a miniature baby, na? Here, see, where we read just now here, 8 weeks. So definitely, if a female had her, menstrual cycle on 1st of July, she will wait for another, like 1st of August, she's expected to have her next, round of the menstrual cycle. But she like, anticipate, ki, maybe because of some reason it got delayed. So she'll wait for next 10, 12 days. By the time the fetus is already ready. Okay, got it? This is how the, entire process is going to be taking place. Got this? Yeah. So you can see the structure of the human fetus. 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old, 5 weeks, 8 weeks. So see, by the time the to-be mother comes to know that she is actually carrying, the fetus is around, in between 5 to 8 weeks के बीच में इतना develop हो चुका है. 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 24 weeks, and 38 weeks. Can you see this thumb? Huh? Many of the babies are going to be seen in the sonography with their thumb in their mouth. Okay. Yeah, the child born on 7 months are mostly normal. They are normal. They are not Nigerian. They are normal. They are normal. Okay. 5th month में थोड़ा सा problem आता है. It's tendency, like, that suckling wala feeling that the babies develop now is because of, that then they want something to suckle with. So the best option that they have in the womb of the mother is the thumb. Okay. I'll tell you how everything. So you understood this, huh? Okay. Now, the 3 germinal layers of fate. Okay. Germinal layers and their derivatives. Ectoderm. Ectoderm gives rise to epidermis of skin, hair, nails, sweat glands, salivary glands, mammary glands, lacrimal glands, means tear glands, sebaceous glands, oil glands, cornea of the eye, lens of the eye, retina of the eye, conjunctiva of the eye, nasal epithelium, enamel of the teeth. This white color thing that you can see on your teeth, it's called as the enamel. Enamel of the teeth, internal ear, external ear, foregut, hindgut, adrenal medulla. Adrenal gland है ना, उसका जो medulla है ना, it's made up from ectoderm. Anterior and posterior pituitary gland, pineal gland, and the entire nervous system is formed from ectoderm. Okay, so you saw that the ectoderm which was formed initially, only we saw na that blue color ka ectoderm that was formed, that ectoderm will differentiate, it will undergo changes, and it will form so many things of the fetus. See, you saw the list, right? Let us see what is mesodermal in origin. So see, mesoderm forms all types of muscles except muscles of the eye, that is the iris muscles and ciliary muscles of eye, which originate from ectoderm. So iris, we saw na, like the retina, cornea, conjunctiva, उसके जो muscles है ना, they are going to be ectodermal, not mesodermal. Rest all muscles, हाँ, जितने भी तुम्हारे muscles है body में, all are mesodermal in origin. Okay. So be it. Let it be twins, let it be triplets, let it be quadruplets, all will be showing the same formation in all of them. Okay. Then connective tissue, dermis of the skin. See, epidermis was ectoderm, dermis is mesoderm. Adrenal cortex, adrenal medulla was ectoderm, adrenal cortex is mesoderm. Heart, blood, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, middle ear. See, Inner layer and outer ear and inner ear were ectodermal. Middle ear is going to be mesodermal. Okay. Dentine of teeth. Ectoderm was animal of teeth. Mesoderm is dentine of teeth. Okay. Dentine of teeth. Urinary and reproductive ducts. Gonads. Kidney. Sclera of the eye and choroid of the eye. Sclera and choroid are the only two structures which are mesodermal. Rest majority of the structures are ectodermal. You have to remember all these things, not only for your competitive exams, but this is a chart picked up from your government textbook from 12th standard. So your 12th board examinations are going to ask you these questions. So that is the reason. Yes, you have to remember what forms what. Yes, of course. Yes, so much. Of course. This is a chart which I have specifically because in your NCERT textbooks, they haven't given much in detail, but they ask you in your competitive exams. It's not a prank, my dear. I'm very serious about it. But in your board exams, they ask you these questions because this table has been picked up from your board books only. Okay. Don't worry, it's very simple. I'll give you a trick to remember all these things. First, listen. Endoderm develops into epithelium of midgut, glands of stomach and intestine, tongue, tonsils, lungs, trachea, alveoli, larynx, urinary bladder, vagina, liver, pancreas, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, thymus gland, eustachian tube present in the ear for balancing, for balancing our bodies, epithelium of urethra, lining of the middle ear. Okay, so all these have to be remembered by heart. Anytime I can take a Viva, and anytime during the Viva, I may ask you these things. Fine, but just remember, it's very easy to remember. Ectoderm gives rise to epidermis of. So it's going to be the ecto means outside, epi means outside. Okay, so if you see over here in ectoderm, majority of them are what? Majority eye के पार्ट से है ना, teeth का बाहर का side animal, outside of the teeth is animal. Okay, then your pituitary gland, pineal gland, posterior pituitary, pineal, and nervous system. So basically ectoderm is associated with eye, nervous system, basically, right? Mesoderm is specifically associated with what? Connective tissue, blood, muscles, है ना? All these are going to be your mesodermal. Dentine is the animal के अंदर का part, so mesoderm बीच में है, correct? Middle ear, mesoderm बीच में, middle ear बीच में, right? It becomes easy. Okay, and lastly endoderm, na majority of the glands, almost all glands are going to be endodermal. Majority, जहां जहां cavity है वहां वहां endoderm से बना हुआ है. देखो, look at it, we will see. जहां जहां cavity है, हाँ देखो, midgut cavity है बेटा, cavity है, midgut hollow है, hollow passage है, endoderm. दूसरा देखो, intestine cavity, hollow, endoderm. Tongue, it's not hollow, but it's muscular. Okay, endoderm. Tonsils, hollow. Lungs, hollow. Trachea, hollow. Bronchi, hollow. Larynx, hollow. Urinary bladder, hollow sac. Vagina, hollow. We have seen it's going to be a opening, so it's hollow. Liver, a gland. Pancreas, gland. Thyroid, gland. Parathyroid, gland. Thymus, gland. Eustachian tube, hollow. Correct? Epithelium of urethra, hollow. Lining of middle ear, hollow. So wherever you find space, hollowness, cavities, it's everything going to be endoderm. ठीक है? Okay. So in this way, just try to remember the content, but you have to remember there is no other option. Adrenal cortex means the inner side of the adrenal gland is going to be called as adrenal cortex. And outer layer, sorry, external layer will be cortex, and inner layer is going to be the medulla. So adrenal gland ka outer layer cortex, inner layer medulla. So these are the three germinal layers giving rise to so many structures of the human fetus. Tonsils are going to be present over here. You know what are tonsils now? Sometimes, they have to be removed if they overgrow and if it is infected. Nowadays we don't go for removal of tonsils, but initially बहुत लोगों के tonsils के operation करने पड़ते थे. It's a lymphoid structure. It's a lymphoid structure. Nodes everywhere. Okay. Eustachian tube is a tube present in the ear for balancing our bodies. कभी कभी चक्कर आती रहती है ना लोगों को. They feel giddy. Maybe because the eustachian tube में कुछ तो problem है. See, when you go, आपने कभी एयर फ्लाइट से कभी ट्रैवल किया ही होगा, है ना? So when you go to the higher altitudes ना, ऐसे लगता है कि तुम्हारे कान बंद हो गए हैं, right? You feel choked from your ears. That is because there is difference in the outside pressure and inside pressure of the eustachian tube. So eustachian tube maintains a balance. It strikes the balance between the pressures outside and inside. So it's a tube, right? Choroid of eye and sclera of eye. I'll be teaching you all eye ka structure entirely. You have got in your syllabus about eye and ear. So both I'll be teaching you in detail. That time surely I'll tell you where is, like what is what. For the upcoming VAT and that was last time when you gave it was helpful. I'll do it. I'll give it on Friday. I need to work out. I mean, I have not checked it, but it's very simple. See, whatever portion we have completed for DATS and VATS, it's going to be the same. That is, I've completed with the male reproductive system, female reproductive system, and this fertilization. Okay, so these three would be the connecting topics for this month on. Okay, these three. So first male reproductive system, then female reproductive system, then fertilization and gestation. This part. Okay. Well, then we come with something. Yeah, only male. Only male. Yeah, I came to know. Yeah, it is the male reproductive system. That is what I said. The male reproductive system. Then next week it would be the female reproductive system. Then the uske baad wala week will be this fertilization and gestation wala part. Okay, I have only told her to tell you all. So one coming Sunday will be male reproductive system. उसके बाद वाला VAT रहेगा, that will be female reproductive system. उसके बाद वाला VAT रहेगा, that is going to be the fertilization wala part, which I'm teaching right now. Okay, na? Simple then. Okay. Yes. Then we come with parturition and lactation. Parturition is the act of expelling the full-term baby from the mother's uterus at the end of the pregnancy, completed in about 280 days from the mother's last menstruation. The fetus, now this is again a very beautiful process. You might have never ever thought of this process in your mind कि ऐसे भी कुछ हो सकता है. So it's a very beautiful process. Please understand this, okay? See, the fetus, not the mother. The fetus signals that it is mature. Fetus को ही समझ में आ जाता है कि हम mature हो चुके हैं. So the fetus signals that it is mature by secreting ACTH hormone from its pituitary gland. So the fetus pituitary is ready now, correct? The pituitary of the fetus is going to synthesize adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. Okay? Okay? Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Who will secrete this? The fetus will secrete this. Right? Wherever you want to, Shwet, no issues. ACTH, which is secreted by the fetal pituitary, causes release of corticosteroid hormones from its adrenal gland. So ACTH is going to be secreted from the adrenal gland. Okay, adrenocorticotropic है ना बेटा. So the adrenal gland जो है वो signaling है. देखो जैसे hypothalamus was secreting GnRH, which was coming to the pituitary. Then pituitary was making LH and FSH. You remember that, na? In the same way, the ACTH will be given by the pituitary gland. Now this will be carried via the blood and it will cause the release of corticosteroids from its adrenal gland. So the fetus is going to have pituitary gland well developed. It is also going to have the adrenal gland well developed. Okay. Now this adrenal gland is going to release corticosteroids. So please understand, fetus seems that it is completely fully matured and wants to come out. So the fetus, the pituitary gland will synthesize what? ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. This ACTH will move via the fetal blood and reach the adrenal gland. Then the, like when it's going to reach the adrenal gland, it's directly ACTH is not going to help in anything. Rather, it will cause the corticosteroids to be formed from the adrenal gland to release in the blood. Okay. Now, these fetal hormones, that is the ACTH and the corticosteroid hormones, diffuse across the placenta and accumulates in the mother's blood till they cause decrease in progesterone production. So you remember I had told you that progesterone is called as the pregnancy hormone. It is going to be intact for all the 9 months so that the uterine membrane does not contract and remains intact. Menstrual cycle, when I had told you this, right? Now what is happening? As and when the corticosteroids are getting accumulated in the mother's blood, now the progesterone level will drop down. So more and more will be the corticosteroids ka diffusion from the fetal blood to the maternal blood. More and more progesterone will go on decreasing from the mother's blood. Correct? For this, now see, till it causes decrease in the progesterone production and increase in the secretion of prostaglandins. So you know that prostaglandins are the ones who are causing the uterine membrane to contract, the uterus to undergo contractions. You remember even in the semen there is prostaglandin, which is going to cause contractions for, getting the sperms inside. So now in the female's body also prostaglandin secretion will increase. So see, progesterone secretion will decrease, prostaglandin secretion will increase. ठीक है. So अब तक क्या हो गया? फीटस के पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड में से ACTH निकला. ACTH एड्रेनल ग्लैंड के पास गया. एड्रेनल ग्लैंड ने कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स रिलीज किए. कॉर्टिकोस्टेरॉइड्स फीटल ब्लड में से मैटरनल ब्लड में आ गए. जैसे ही वो मैटरनल ब्लड में एंट्री लिए, प्रोजेस्टेरॉन लेवल मैटरनल ब्लड का कम होता गया एंड प्रोस्टाग्लैंडिन लेवल बढ़ता गया. Understood till here? Perfectly understood. Very important, huh? Yeah. Now see, reduced progesterone level allows the secretion of oxytocin by mother's pituitary and ends the inhibitory effect of uterine contraction. So the progesterone level जैसे ही कम होता जा रहा है, the oxytocin level is also increasing. So prostaglandin level is also increasing and oxytocin level is also increasing. And this oxytocin will be released from where? The pituitary of the mother. Now these are the questions which are regularly asked. ACTH is released from the pituitary of the fetus. Correct? Oxytocin is released by the pituitary of the mother. right? And as more and more oxytocin will be produced, the uterine membrane का intact होना कम होता जाएगा. It will induce uterine contraction. Oxytocin stimulates uterine muscles to contract. Also, prostaglandins, which are also going to increase, right, in amount, increases the force of contraction. जिसको हम labor pains बोलते हैं ना, what we call it as labor pains. What are those? Those are nothing, but those are the severe contractions. The smooth muscles of the uh, uterus is going to undergo. We saw uterus has got 3 layers, na? Perimetrium, अपना muscle layer and endometrium. तो ये जो middle layer है ना muscles का, it will start contracting, and prostaglandins will ensure that the contraction is going to be forceful contraction. ACTH का full form adrenocorticotropic hormone. Myometrium. Yes, bacha. Perfectly right, my dear. Right. So the muscle layers are going to be contracting under the influence of oxytocin and forceful contraction under the influence of prostaglandin. Okay, double effect. This provides force to expel the baby from the uterus, causing birth. So in this way, the baby is going to be delivered onto the outside world. Are these contractions painful? Yes, of course. They are quite painful. Okay. So, in fact, people say that when a female gives birth to the child, it is her own second birth, is what is being said. Okay. Because for 9, see, if you do vigorous exercise on one day, you have never exercised for a year, and all of a sudden you are doing extra strenuous exercise, won't it be painful? Tell me that. Definitely it's going to be painful. It's like that way. For 9-10 months, the uterine wall, the myometrium, is going to be not having any activity to be done, and all of a sudden now it is going to perform very heavy activity. So obviously it's going to be painful. Yes, Bhumi, very right, beta, very correct. So if the fetus releases ACTH earlier, then it will be delivered premature. Agreed. But sometimes, like it is also forced, or we call it as a false signaling of ACTH if the mother's blood pressure is high, if the mother's sugar is high, if the mother is, consuming alcohol or any sort of drugs or something like that way, then there is a false signal that is given to release, the oxytocin without the involvement of ACTH. When was oxytocin being produced in the mother's pituitary? Only when the corticosteroids were getting accumulated in the mother's blood. But due to these, high sugar, high blood pressure, high alcohol, tobacco, any other type of nicotine containing drugs, or, any chemicals, like, generally pregnant females are asked not to eat, any outside food and all. Okay? That is the reason. Yeah. So, like if those things are going to be still continued, then also these things will happen. Okay, yes. So you understood, Pita, how the hormonal control is exactly. Any difficulty? I'll just quickly repeat one more time. Please pay attention. So first is what? The pituitary of the fetus secretes ACTH. ACTH from the fetal blood will reach the fetal adrenal gland. The fetal adrenal gland will start releasing corticosteroids. These corticosteroids will then accumulate, diffuse through the placenta, enter the mother's blood, and start accumulating. As corticosteroids get accumulated, the progesterone level goes down, prostaglandin levels go up, and oxytocin from the mother's pituitary will be synthesized. Correct? This oxytocin will cause uterine contractions to occur, and the prostaglandins will help in further forceful contractions of the myometrium to give a force, to give the energy for expelling the baby to the outside world. Okay, false signals means actual ACTH is not going to be, liberated from the this one fetal pituitary, but but corticosteroids are going to be synthesized, or it's a byproduct of whatever the female has consumed, or because of these medications or something like that. So it is not the actual corticosteroids which the fetal adrenal gland is synthesizing, but it's a byproduct, or it's a, what we say, a side effect of certain, medications or drugs or alcohol. That's called as false signal. Got it? Fine. So in this way, the parturition is going to be taking. Any difficulty in this particular content, my dears, especially hormonal control? Come on, come on. एक बार देखो, कुछ है difficulty तो पूछो. Parturition involves forceful muscular contractions called as labor of the uterine wall. About 2 weeks before birth, the fetal normally settles head downwards into the pelvic cavity. On completion of gestation, labor starts. Parturition may be divided into following 3 stages. Dilation stage, first, expulsion stage, second, and placental stage, third. So let us understand how the baby is actually going to be delivered outside, okay, with the 3 phases, right? Sometimes fetus stops its movement inside the womb. Is it also because of the, yeah, it could be, beta, could be, sometimes, yes. Basically, it is because of blood pressure that needs to be monitored regularly. The blood pressure may cause, all these problems sometimes. First is dilation stage. Let us understand this. Dilation stage lasts for about 12 hours. Regular peristaltic contraction of the uterine wall begins, passing from top to downwards. So from the top to the lower, vaginal regions, these contractions are going to be experienced by the female. These result in moving the fetus downward towards the cervix, which causes the expansion of cervix fully. So we just now saw that the fetus will, come to lie head down, and the head is going to be, uh, at least stronger than other structures of the fetus, who would try to push open the cervix, right? So the cervix will become broad now, okay? Amnion and chorion ruptures. So because of the, that contractions, the peristaltic action, it's like, pumping ahead with the force, the head of the fetus, which will rupture the amnion and the chorion membrane. Okay, so it's going to be rupturing of the amnion and chorion. The amniotic fluid passes out, lubricating the vagina, which is very important. Without this, the smooth exit of the baby is not going to be possible. The fetal placenta is pulled out from the uterine wall, making the baby free from the mother. So this is the dilation stage actually. Still actual expulsion stage is there. It lasts for about 20 minutes to 1 hour. The uterine contractions become more powerful and are accompanied by contractions of the abdominal wall also. So not only uterine wall, it's also abdominal wall, okay, which needs to be exercised. With these contractions, the baby is gradually pushed outwards through the dilated cervix and the vagina with the head foremost, and finally delivered into the outside world where it draws its first breath. So it's going to breathe for the first time immediately when the baby is going to be out of the mother's uterus. The umbilical cord is ligated or ligatured at 2 places close to the baby and cut between the ligatures. What do you mean by ligatures? How much is the female going to be squeezed? What do you mean by ligatures? They put clips at both the ends of the umbilical cord. One towards, like the more towards the baby's navel area. Okay, and then they will cut it to prevent blood loss. This frees the baby totally from the mother. Cervix and vagina are dilated, and the ligaments of the pelvic girdle are relaxed immediately by the hormones again secreted. You know, the name of the hormone is relaxin, again secreted by the mother only from the corpus luteum for easy birth of the baby. So the corpus luteum is intact now, which was synthesizing progesterone till now. Now progesterone level dropped down, correct? Because of the corticosteroids. Now the corpus luteum will immediately synthesize relaxin to relax the smooth muscles to come back to normalcy. Okay, so relaxin will relax the muscles. So the name relaxin. Okay, so this is the expulsion stage. Okay, and lastly we have got the placental stage. It lasts for about 40 to 45 minutes after the infant's birth. Pelvic girdle is the girdle of your hip bones from back, coxal bones from the sides, coming towards the pelvis, which is going to be your entire pelvic girdle. Okay. Now the placenta, umbilical cord, fetal membrane are expelled by series of uterine contractions. So still the contractions are there even after the birth of the baby. The contractions are still going to be experienced. All of a sudden, band nahi honge. Now, what will they squeeze? They will squeeze out the umbilical cord, fetal membrane, placenta. Everything will be squeezed out now. These structures are referred to as afterbirth. Further contractions of the uterus close the cervix and prevent excessive bleeding. Bleeding throughout the process is kept low. Very important point. Huh? Bleeding from the mother is throughout the process is kept low by contraction of smooth muscle fibers of the uterine blood vessels supplying the placenta. So because of that, what will happen? Too much of blood loss will not take place. Okay. Sometimes the fetus fails to come out and a surgical procedure called as cesarean section is needed. We call it a C-section. Okay. Here the baby is removed through a cut given to the mother's placenta. So the maternal placenta, that is your deciduous basalis, which we have seen now, that is going to be cut. And from there, the the baby is going to be extracted. Okay. So this is the third stage, that is the placental stage. All three stages understood: dilation, expulsion, and placental. Any difficulty? What causes the failure in the? Sometimes the ACTH is not being produced by the baby, or maybe the corticoids are not able to diffuse into the mother's blood, or maybe mother's pituitary gland is not capable of making oxytocin. Any reasons could be there. Of course. Vacuum is much more safer, means there is no cuts, nothing. From outside also they will use a suction force to pull the baby out. Okay. So these are, Miss, what actually breaks when people use the phrase amnion. The amniotic cavity breaks open and the amniotic fluid is going to be, coming out. That is called as water. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now all of you all have understood this. Any difficulty? Any problem? The last to wind up with this is lactation. Mammary gland starts producing milk at the end of the pregnancy by the process called as lactation. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum. What's your doubt, beta? Sometimes the fetus comes leg first. How does that happen? It can happen. It depends upon how the fetus is, arranging itself in the mother's womb. So even sometimes it's going to be legs first and head first. It's okay. But in that case, it becomes a bit more painful for the cervix to open. You know? Yeah. So the milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum, which is rich in antibodies. Very important point, rich in colostrum, which is rich in antibodies. It helps in developing resistance for the new babies. It is recommended that the lactation be carried out for minimum 2 years of the baby's age. So breastfeeding is mandatory at least for 2 years of the baby's age. Up till the baby becomes 2 years. It's compulsory actually. If the mothers want their children to be having a very healthy life, then this becomes important. This becomes mandatory. That's really bad. I know, but that's really bad. If you reduce the lactational period now, then the babies are not going to be having the capacity to combat diseases. They'll be more prone to infections. Yes, 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 of course. Yes, but all babies can breastfeed, of course. They have to. Fine. So that's all with the chapter called as human reproduction. We have completed the chapter of human reproduction. In the next class, I'll be talking ahead with the reproductive health chapter. Why do we use formula? Because mothers are lazy or mothers want to make their career more important in their life. So they want to, get rid of sitting for hours and hours together with the baby. They want to do their work and they want to nourish the baby artificially. It's very bad. Yeah, I'll send the PDF today. It's already ready, huh? No, it's not at all good to use any formulas. The best is the mother's milk is the best one. Okay. So my dears, with this we complete one more chapter, and a connected chapter with this is the reproductive health, which is, everything about the government, how it has tried to bring the population down, and what are the different, methods by which we can prevent unwanted children, and also some, people are having problems associated with becoming parents, so how to assist them. Yeah, they are so in advance. No, it's not that safe, beta. It's not that safe. Best is the original form. That is also, it's normal. It's normal. There is nothing to worry about those. From the efficacy, nothing to worry. It's a common thing. It's a common. Okay. Population control, everything is going to be seen in the chapter of reproductive health, which I'll be starting on Friday. It's a very small chapter. Within 2 turns, we'll be able to complete the reproductive health chapter. Maybe in 1 turn also. Let's see. Okay. Chalo. I won't engage you all for next 10 minutes unnecessarily. I'll leave you all 10 minutes early today because I don't want to start anything new halfway. Okay. Chalo. Bye, beta. See you all on Friday with the new chapter, that is reproductive health. Bye. Bye.